The condition of things in the world shows that troublous times are right upon us. The daily papers are full of indications of a terrible conflict in the near future. Bold robberies are of frequent occurrence. Strikes are common. Thefts and murders are committed on every hand. Men possessed with demons are taking the lives of men, women, and little children. Men have become infatuated with vice, and every species of evil prevails. In 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 3 and 4, the Bible records, "For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables."
In 1989, tabloid journalism took off.
Where a serial killer has robbed families of their loved ones.
We weren't traditional news.
It was almost like some kind of TV catnip.
1989. It was a year when salacious crime reporting hit new extremes, and the line between news and entertainment really began to blur.
In 1989, there was a real shift.
A shift that would transform America's relationship with the media when a sensational style of journalism caught fire.
This is the most eye-popping TV show on cable. It makes the Playboy Channel look like the Disney Channel.
Tabloid TV was as much about theater as it was about information, and it gave us a glimpse into the future of news.
1989 serves as this beginning to where we are today. Facts that contradict people's perspectives get tossed out.
It was one of the city's most heinous crimes, but the 5 men convicted in the Central Park jogger attack case have now been cleared.
On my facts, your facts. I worry about where we're going.
In the book of 1 Kings, chapter 22, verses 20 to 23, the Bible says, "And the Lord said, Who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit, and stood before the Lord, and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, Thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also. Go forth, and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord had put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord had spoken evil concerning thee." Since 1989, there have been a lying spirit in the mouth of the media.
The news is always changing, but there was a time when the way the news was delivered did not. For decades, Americans knew when to tune into their newscasts and who would man the anchor desk. Journalists like Walter Cronkite, who was known as the most trusted man in America.
And that's the way it is, Monday, September 11th, 1972.
That all changed in the late 80s when one program decided to lead with very different stories.
In 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 10, the Bible says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows."
After that, tabloid journalism took off.
Rupert Murdoch had the greatest line to me when A Current Affair was nominated for an Emmy in 1989. He said, you know, don't worry, we're not interested in trophies, we're interested in viewers. That's all we care about.
Being in Murdoch's favor would come in handy when one of the stories of the century was breaking. A Current Affairs crew needed a way to get to Berlin fast, so Murdoch lent them his private jet.
Maybe the biggest event in 1989 was the fall of the Berlin Wall. Tom Brokaw is there from NBC, Dan Rather is there for CBS, Peter Jennings is there for ABC, and here comes Maury Povich from A Current Affair. And they looked and said, what are you doing here? I mean, this is our story.
There's a lot of joy, there's a lot of celebration, but when we get through all of this, there's going to be a hard look at what the future is.
The great picture of the fall of the Berlin Wall was everybody taking hammers and axes. So we decided we got to really do a big job. So Gordon Elliott, our indefatigable reporter, goes to a firehouse in West Berlin and gets a fire axe. One of those huge, none of these little things, this huge fire axe, and brings it to the wall. And Gordon's got this thing and he starts banging on the wall. And then, of course, all the West Berliners are there and say, "Can I have that axe?" So Gordon gives this guy the axe, and this guy's got this axe, and this guy's picture iconically shows up on the cover of Newsweek. We never expected that the traditional media would ever accept us. But those network news people were fascinated with what A Current Affair was doing, and would ask, "So what did you do here? And how did you get that? And how did you do this?"
A Current Affair's success did not go unnoticed, and competitors emerged.
In Jeremiah 6:16-19, the Bible says, "Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. Also, I set watchmen over you, saying, hearken to the sound of the trumpet. But they said, we will not hearken. Therefore, hear, ye nations, and know, O congregation, what is among you. Hear, O earth, behold, I will bring evil upon this people, even the fruit of their thoughts, because they have not hearkened unto my words, nor to my law, but rejected it." In 1989, this nation were to turn from their wicked ways, turn from the course of media that they had taken. But alas, they went on.
Sordid tales of greed, sex, and murder were mostly found while waiting in the checkout line, until 1989, when the world was introduced to the Menendez brothers.
What people in the television news business began to realize is that these more sensational cases would move the needle, almost like some kind of TV catnip.
In an article from media outlet The Hill titled, "Bread and Circuses Could Strike Down America Like It Did Rome," the writer writes, "The use of propaganda for diversion to an altered state of reality that is defined by politicians and the political parties is not new. We even observed this concept in antiquity." Will Loudon, in Bread and Circus for the Masses, Not Just Ancient Rome, describes the Roman government policy as emperors in the latter stages of the empire used both free bread and other food and free entertainment to placate the larger number of the people who were otherwise poorly served by their government. Jose Acel's definition in The Politics of Bread and Circuses provides an easily understood and concise description. Quote, "Bread and circus," unquote, are political strategies calculated to appease a population and divert attention from the controversial or failed policies with populist welfare programs. He further explains, quote, "Public support is thus created not through exceptional public service and effective public policy, but through diversion and patronage," unquote.
True crime has always been a fascination, but now we have outlets that create true crime stories that make it more entertaining than just the journalistic effort to the facts, ma'am, just the facts. Now it's about creating theater and drama. In order to make it entertaining, they take a point of view, and they're making the news a product, and that's problematic.
Somewhere out there, the devil is dancing tonight.
"Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lusts of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar, and the father of it."
After 1989, when tabloid journalism was first introduced, there was a whole sea change in the media. What emerged was the proliferation of news outlets. MSNBC came along, Fox came along, and news organizations began competing viciously for the latest story, the latest flavor of the week, which is where we are today. Accuracy, balance, and objectivity just fall by the wayside.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
In 1989, the murder rate in New York City was nearly 7 times what it was in 2017, and the storyline was clear. Out-of-control animals were running rampant in New York City, putting its citizens at risk. And one surprising voice emerged, demanding justice. In Page 6, he was known as the Donald, and more of a socialite than a social justice crusader. But in 1989, he went from media hound to media buyer.
Donald spent $85,000 to take a full-page ad out in the newspaper saying that we should bring back the death penalty for these people.
I am strongly in favor of the death penalty. I'm also in favor of bringing back police forces that can do something instead of just turning their back.
You better believe that I hate the people that took this girl and raped her brutally. You better believe it. And it's more than anger, it's hatred. And I want society to hate him.
He was convicting people. Didn't know the case. And that was terrible.
We don't know who did that crime. And the court's going to decide who did that crime. Were you prejudging those arrested?
No, I'm not prejudging at all. I'm not in this particular case. I'm saying if they're found guilty, if the woman died, which she hopefully will not be dying, but if the woman died, I think they should be executed.
Fortunately, Tricia Miley survived. As for her alleged attackers, their case ended with a dramatic twist.
It was one of the city's most heinous crimes, but the 5 men convicted in the Central Park jogger attack case have now been cleared.
And the 5 teenagers who spent 5 to 13 years in jail for her attempted murder and rape were not involved.
But the confession of a serial rapist already in jail for murder didn't move Donald Trump to recant.
In a statement to CNN, Trump not only didn't apologize, but said they admitted they were guilty. The police doing the original investigation say they were guilty. The fact that the case was settled with so much evidence against them is outrageous.
Donald Trump's reaction to this case serves as this beginning to some of where we are today.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime.
Creating an other and blaming that other for problems. Facts that contradict people's perspectives get tossed out. And instead, we go with the story that we like, the narrative we want to believe. I think that's exactly what happened with the Central Park 5 case.
The Donald I knew in 1989 wanted to get on Page 6 of the New York Post. Of course, he told mistruths. That was part of him. He'd be on my show the next day, said, top ratings ever, right?
No. Do you know why you do it?
Why?
You love the publicity.
Oh, I hate the publicity.
Oh, come on, get out of here.
I'm telling you, I hate the publicity.
Oh, please.
I hate it.
Once a man who loved to see his name in print, the leader of the free world now calls the free press the enemy of the people.
I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news.
Right now you have 3 cable news networks that don't cover anything but Trump. Other things are going on in the world they don't cover. That's not journalism. I worry about where we're going.
I don't remember a time in my life as a reporter, which is over 30 years now, that we've ever had this kind of contentious atmosphere where there's a whole group of people in the country who thinks what mainstream media does is a total hoax. It's like folks have their own version of the facts versus just the facts existing.
30 years ago, tabloid TV changed the face of news, a transformation some have embraced and others continue to reject. But what is undeniable is that it made sensationalism mainstream, gave journalism an edge, and gave us all an appetite for real-life drama.
You might not consider them news, but I'll tell you this. Since 1989, more newscasts are doing stories we did on a current affair than they ever did. And you know, we have a president 24 hours a day we got tabloid journalism.
I did answer your
question. No, you did not. You did
Yes,
not
I
answer
did.
the question of why the president asked the White House press secretary to come out in front of the podium for the first time and utter a falsehood. Why did he do that? It undermines the credibility of the entire White House press office
No, it
on day
doesn't.
one.
Don't be so overly dramatic about it, Chuck. You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that. But the point remains.
Wait a minute. Alternative facts? Alternative facts, 4 of the 5 facts he uttered. The one thing he got right was Zeke Miller. 4 of the 5 facts he uttered were just not true. Look, alternative facts are not facts. They're falsehoods.
Society today is fast approaching the condition of the world before the flood. As children grow up to youth, and youth to manhood and womanhood, they are becoming full of self-sufficiency, maturing rapidly in the knowledge of evil. The youth of today are educated in crime by reading the stories which fill the popular publications, having no regard for the right because it is right, as they read stories of theft, murder, and every other species of crime. They are led to devise means by which they could improve upon the criminal's methods and escape detection. Foul publications assist in perfecting the education of the youth in the way that leads to perdition. The youth of our cities breathe in the tainted, polluted atmosphere of crime. The evil influence is then communicated to the country, and the whole community becomes contaminated. Some of the rulers of the earth are not men of moral worth. They have no desire to check the publication of this foul literature, which is increasing year by year and which feeds the passion of crime and evil. Stories of criminal life, such as are found in the papers of today, and so-called revelations of the future, are treated as realities. Christ saw the conflict that is approaching and has sent us a word to watch and pray, lest we enter into temptation. He has warned us that, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed.